Marvelous hello, friends and loved ones, and welcome to the 11th anniversary of my YouTube channel. And you all know what that means. We've talked about Glover, a wrestling game, Glover, a wrestling game, Glover, a wrestling game, Glover, a wrestling game, Glover, a Yakuza game made by a developer known for their work on wrestling games, Glover, and now we're finally back with the second Yakuza game made by a developer known for their work on wrestling games. I promise this is probably going to be the last video I do in this back and forth formula. I already said last year that was likely the last Glover video I'll ever make, and I wasn't even planning on doing a wrestling game this year, but it seemed like as good a time as any to talk about this one. And to the person who commented on my first video, please review the second game soon, I don't want to have to wait 2 years for that. Sorry, that's my bad. I got really busy with stuff. Kurohyou 2, Ryoga Gotoko Ashura Hen, or roughly translated, Black Panther 2, Like a Dragon Ashura Chapter, is the second PSP game not made by RGG, but by Sin Sophia, who is best known for their work on wrestling games like WWF No Mercy, the Def Jam series, and the Style Savvy games, which are, very clearly not wrestling games, but I still think it's worth mentioning. While the first game came out in 2010, shortly after the release of Yakuza 4, Kurohyou 2 came out in early 2012, shortly before the release of Yakuza 5, so these games do sort of help fill the gap between those two mainline titles. Now, as soon as you boot the game up, there's something you will immediately notice that might be a deal breaker for some of you, and I wouldn't blame you in the slightest if you just turned it off and walked away right now, because I'm so sorry to say that there is no longer a hole in the bucket. But once we can move past that, it's time to start. Like a lot of other Yakuza games, if you didn't play the previous title or didn't watch my video about it, there is a lengthy recap of the first Kurohyou to bring you up to speed. Like, seriously, it's 12 whole minutes, which may not seem like a lot, but remember, this was a PSP game, meaning you were statistically watching this on a bus or a toilet. Or, I guess a train, because much like the first game, this title was only released in Japan, and I, like most Westerners, am playing the fan translation from Team K4L, whom you should all go support and check out their work on the upcoming Kurohyou HD, because seriously, it looks awesome. Kurohyou 2 continues the adventures of Tatsuya Ukyo after he fought his way through the underground fighting tournament Dragon Heat, where he learned about friendship, fighting philosophy, and what it means to be a better person. The game says a year has passed and Tatsuya is a legitimate fighter now, stepping into boxing rings in Las Vegas. But before you think we're gonna have a Yakuza game set in America, we've gotta wait another 12 years before that happens, Tatsuya is swiftly whisked back to Kamurocho so he can do the Like a Dragon protagonist thing and walk under that red archway. Something that I immediately loved about seeing Tatsuya again is that it does not feel like they regressed him at all. Like, Tatsuya had a really good character arc in the first game, but instead of acting like that didn't happen, we come into the game with Tatsuya as a more mature, level-headed person. Sure, he's still a bit snippy and short-tempered, as he should be, that's part of his charm, but he's not the unlikable, cocky prick that he was at the start of the first game, and I found that really refreshing. Like, even characters he meets in this game admit that they expected him to be way more violent and stupid based on what they'd heard about him, and I appreciate that he's not. The basic story is that while heading back to his house, Tatsuya protects a guy named Shinji from a group of thugs calling themselves Ashura. Tatsuya finds out that Shinji and a few other teenagers, Makoto, Tamotsu, and Yuta, are actually fighters in Dragon Heat, the same underground fighting organization that he climbed through the ranks of in the first game. Dragon Heat has apparently become a lot less scummy since Ryusho Kuki took over. I mean, it's still presumably an illegal underground fighting ring run by the Yakuza for profit and power, but hey, Kuki believes in these kids, darn it! It turns out that Ashura is an organization with heavy political connections, and they're aiming to take over Kamurocho. Until they strike a deal that if Dragon Heat can defeat the 8 head legions of their organization in official bouts, they'll back off. Tatsuya decides to give up the money and success as a professional fighter, since he didn't think he actually earned any of that stuff, and stand by Dragon Heat, because they taught him so much about his fighting philosophy and helped him become the better person that he is now. I honestly really do like the emphasis on friendship, and Tatsuya sort of taking on something of a mentor role toward these younger fighters, essentially wanting to help them all grow the same way that he did. Some of them do team up with you every now and then, but I will say I think the early story leans a bit too heavy on the idea of just watching these other not Tatsuya guys get the crap kicked out of them chapter after chapter. Shinji gets put into the hospital, Makoto gets shot, Tamotsu gets, wow, so beaten up, it's not even funny. And so on and so forth. I think the only character that I'm really sad we don't get to see in this game is Saki, and at best she's just kinda offhandedly mentioned. She was such a huge part of Tatsuya's character growth that it really bums me out we never get to see her interact with the man she helped Tatsuya become. However, I'm willing to forgive that because we do get to see the one character that really counts. The one character that every Yakuza fan wants to see show up. That's right, it's Dojima's dog himself, Kazuma Kiryu. Since Ashura is an organization based in Osaka, Kurohyou 2 actually has you traveling back and forth between both Kamurocho and Sotenbori, swapping between the Dragon Heat and Ashura arenas for these bouts. Oh, and don't worry, yes, DJ Rukio is back in full force.
The Dragon Heat で前人未到10連勝を成し遂げたカムロの恐竜右京Tatsuya!
And no, they don't bother having a different ringside announcer for when you're in Sotenbori. Rukio is just playing both venues because he knows the importance of getting that bread.
Kamuro no Dragon Heat が誇る生きる伝説右京Tatsuya!
Much like the first game, the bosses are absolutely the height of the experience. Taking down the Ashura legions always feels like a really good way to top off each chapter. Whether you're fighting a crazy arms-dealing luchador or a massive sumo wrestler that you need to dodge because he can do a lot of damage if he hits you, the main cast and the bosses are all super memorable. In fact, without spoiling who they are, the main antagonist of this game might actually be my favorite big villain in the entire series to date. Like, the game really has this fantastic emphasis on the ideas of destiny and fate and whether or not you can take control of your own future. And Tatsuya's actions do a nice job playing off of the philosophy of the big baddie, and it all just works out so nicely. Now, the big problem I find myself running into with talking about Kurohyou 2 is that without just covering the story beat for beat, which I don't want to do because it's a really good story and I recommend experiencing it for yourself, I'm struggling to find things to talk about that I didn't already discuss in my video on the first game. Oh, speaking of running into big things, Kurohyou 2 did introduce these random big guys in the city, and if you run into one of them, they'll knock you onto the ground. Why? You, that's why. Maybe watch where you're going. Because this game was brought to us by the folks who made Style Savvy, Kurohyou 2 actually lets you change your outfits and you can buy new clothes for Tatsuya, and that's honestly pretty cool. It's crazy how far ahead of other games in the series this one was by letting you do that. Yeah, I stuck with the classic Black Panther tracksuit for most of the game, but I appreciated having the option. The combat is mostly the same, even down to me thinking the camera is a bit too zoomed in for my liking.
Were you wearing the purple suit?
Yeah.
And you deserved it!
Tatsuya can learn and choose between a wide range of different fighting styles and unlock new ones through various methods, including some you can get from having save data of the original Kurohyou. Supposedly, you get a different style for having cleared data from that game, but sadly I lost my finished save from the first game a while ago. The game tries to explain that the reason Tatsuya doesn't have all the fighting styles he learned in the previous game is because he's been so focused on only boxing this past year that all the other styles just kinda atrophied, so you've gotta learn them all again. The battles in this game do seem to have a somewhat greater emphasis on group matches, with Tatsuya teaming up with various companions throughout the plot and stuff. It lends itself really nicely to this title being about friendship and camaraderie. You can do some cool combo attacks by throwing an opponent into your battle companion, which was always satisfying, but I will admit I found it really hard to aim these. Just like in the first game, there's a wide range of activities you can do, from working at Smile Burger or Kyushu #1 star, and oh hey look, it's Akiyama. Working a security job at a dance club, and oh hey look, it's Akiyama. Man, he is having a fun day. I'm pretty sure this is the same dancer from the first game, but I will admit I like her outfit a lot more in this title. Working at Smile Burger a second time, because this dude promises to give you a photo of a hot girl and her email address that turns out to be 20 years old because it's a photo of his mom and he tells you to not hit on her. This series is so weird, I love it. You can help your fighting sensei find a bunch of cats sprinkled throughout the map, there are games to play like bowling, batting cages, and UFO catchers, and of course more unique activities in Sotenbori, like making takoyaki or practicing your golf swing. And of course, both cities have a wide range of hostesses that you can hang out with and get to know better. Kurohyou 2's most unique minigame is a fully fleshed out arcade shooter called Castle of the Dead, a House of the Dead clone where you just shoot a bunch of cardboard PNGs from Yakuza Dead Souls because, hey, that game came into existence between the first and second Kurohyou games, so why not? You can also do karaoke, which they turned into a proper rhythm game this time instead of just a button mashing session like it was in the first title. As someone who loves the Like a Dragon franchise, I admit it can be a bit weird to talk about, because if you've played one of them and you know if you like them or not, then I don't really need to do a lot of heavy lifting to convince you. Did you play Kurohyou 1? If no, play that one first. If yes, great. Did you like it? If no, I doubt Kurohyou 2 is going to change your mind. If yes, cool, then play this one. It's a lot of the same stuff. A lot of the good same stuff, and I found myself just as invested in the story and characters. I still really do like Tatsuya, and I think he's super underappreciated as a Like a Dragon protagonist. I'd love to see him show up in a modern entry in the series, because canonically he'd be like, wow, in his 30s now, god I'm old. 2 years ago, when I covered the first game, I was saying how much I'd love to see RGG do something with these neglected titles, like bringing them back in an HD collection or giving them the Kiwami treatment, but I'll admit RGG's kind of been pooping the bed with the series lately. Like, I'm not just trying to be a negative Nishiki over here, but I feel like that is a general consensus with, like, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, the absolute mess that was Kiwami 3, and whatever Stranger Than Heaven is doing with Tupac. God help me, I do still really want to play that game, though. See how far I can get into it in, like, the month before Persona 4 Revival comes out. Like, even if they ever did decide to revisit Kurohyou, which I doubt they ever will, I'd still recommend these original PSP versions, especially if you're a fan of the franchise looking to explore some games you may have missed out on. These fan translations are great, and it's super cool that they're readily available. So, special thanks again to Team K4L for all their hard work, and thanks to you for watching this video. Whether this is the first video of mine you've ever seen, or you've been around regularly throughout these past 11 years, I'm super grateful to have been able to do this for as long as I have been. And since I don't really know how else to end this video, let's just take a moment to remember the good times. Back when there was a hole in the bucket.